BTS's Jin has just returned from military service, but in just a matter of days, he is already in the midst of thousands of fans. Is this genuine love for the army or the pressure of a system that never gives it time to breathe? When the camera's glare flashed her pale face and unsteady body, the world began to wonder, what was really going on? Is Jin's health sacrificed for fan service?
Done?
Why did the army begin to feel guilty? What happens when an idol's love for his fans begins to look like a silent sacrifice full of wounds? What if the smiles we see on stage actually cover up the incredible fatigue, wounds that are never told, and the pressure that forces them to keep smiling even though the body has almost collapsed? Those are the questions that now haunt the minds of the army after seeing the appearance of BTS's Jin, who has just completed his military service. However, what was more surprising was not only Jin's presence at the fan meeting after the service, but his facial expression, his body being so weak, and the glare of his eyes empty. Jin, who has been known as the oldest Taehyung, full of passion and warmth in BTS, sparked great concern after appearing at a fan meeting held in Seoul, just a day after officially being discharged from military service. Did you see it too? His body looked much thinner than usual.
Pale.
His movements were slow, his voice seemed to be forced cheerful, and there was something in his gaze that could not be described in words. A signal? Or the silent cry of someone who is too tired to tell you that he or she is not doing well? Can love for fans be a snare that quietly kills slowly? One day after officially completing his state duty, Jin stood on the stage with thousands of pairs of eyes fixed on him. In the event titled Jin's Greetings, Jin not only attended, but also hugged 1,000 fans, one by one. Imagine, a body that for 2 years was formed with military tension must now return to being soft, warm, and smile. But is it really a happy smile? Or is it just a smile made to please everyone, except himself? And now, just a few months after that, Jin is back again attending an event in New York. This time it was not just a greeting and a smile, but a full commitment that made the army wonder, why was no one holding it back? Who told Jin to continue to appear in public even though his own face was like saving a story that was never revealed? We all know, Jin is the first BTS member to complete military service. But who would have thought? He is also the first to have to face the harsh reality that the entertainment industry does not give time to breathe. The fan meeting, which was supposed to be a celebration, turned into a stage that showed the deep fatigue of a man who had just returned from the harsh and cold world of the military. And as Army watched Jin greet, wave his hand, then walk with heavy steps towards the backstage, there was a feeling of guilt that infiltrated silently. Were we the ones who forced Jin to keep smiling? Why does he look so weak? His face was so pale, I was worried. His eyes are not what they used to be. Something's wrong. Comments like this filled the fans' timeline after the event. A video showing Jin looking staggered for a moment after finishing greeting fans went viral. And suddenly, all the attention was no longer on the grandeur of the show, but on one thing, Jin's health. What if we've all been so busy waiting for the return of the genie that we've forgotten that he's also human? Not a god, not a machine, not a stage puppet, but human beings with blood, flesh, and hearts that can get tired, broken, and fall. We need to remember one heartbreaking thing. Jin never postpones fan meetings. Even after 2 years in the military, even when his face had not yet fully recovered from the rigors of training and inner stress, even when his body needs a long and quiet sleep, he's still here. Because of what? Because he loves the army. But is it true that this kind of love must be paid for with one's own health? A fan who was present at the event shared his testimony on the community platform. When I hugged her, her body was cold. His hands were limping, but he still said, "Thank you for waiting." And I can only cry. Is this normal? Or is it just a warning sign that something very serious is happening? Social media is full of worries. But even more surprising is, there was no official statement from the agency. There is no clarification. There was no explanation as to whether Jin was indeed sick or just exhausted.
Quiet.
Like the voice of Jin, who may have been trying to talk, but buried by the euphoria of the public who continued to demand his presence. And in the midst of it all, One thing that haunts most is the fact that this isn't the first time Jin has ignored himself for the sake of the fans. Army long knew Jin had postponed his hand surgery for the sake of a concert schedule. He once said, "I don't want you to wait too long." But how many wounds did he have to save just for the sake of not making the army wait? Until when, at the fan meeting in New York, Jin appeared in a casual denim jacket, a stylish look as always. But is the force enough to cover up the pain he may be experiencing? The camera could only capture visuals, but Army's heart captured something else: tired vibes, forced smiles, and energy that seemed to dim slowly. He talked, joked, even had a little laugh. But as many fans said, it wasn't Jin's usual laugh. Is the pressure from the industry too great? Did the agency not give him enough time off? Or is it Jin himself who feels guilty if he does not immediately appear before the fans? These questions grew bigger, especially after one of the fans noticed Jin's slow-motion video from the side of the stage. In the video, Jin looks as if he lost his balance shortly after looking down to say hello. He quickly stood up straight again, but long enough to make anyone's heart break. Did you see it too? Or are we all too used to seeing our idols standing, singing, smiling, without really paying attention to how they're feeling? The most painful of all this is when we realize perhaps we're part of the problem. The army is aware of that. And now we're worried. This concern is not mere paranoia. This is a love that begins to fear loss. Love that begins to realize that maybe we have been too busy celebrating the return of Jin until we did not have time to ask, "Jin, are you okay?" And the most heartbreaking, until this moment, the genie has not said anything about her health. Her silence became the loudest scream. And when Army realized that there was only one feeling left, we wanted to hug him back. But this time, not to ask for energy from him. Instead of saying, "You can rest, we'll stay here." The story is not finished, and it may never really be over until we all stop demanding and start listening. Listen to Jin's body. Listen to the silence. And ask, does our love really love or simply demands to be loved back? But the question now is, why did this happen? Why should someone who has just gone through a period of military service, a time that is draining and mental, have to go straight back into the spotlight as if there has never been a break? Was this Jin's own choice, or were there invisible hands pushing him back onto the stage? And even if this is his own decision, was he given enough time to really think about it? Army began to sense a pattern of sacrifice that is too frequent, too deep, and too quiet. Jin has always been known as a mentally strong member, but that's precisely why many are worried. Does he hold back too often from showing his weaknesses? Is he too used to putting the happiness of others above his own? This question is even more relevant when looking at how fan meetings don't just take place once. After Seoul, then New York. 2 continents, 2 cultures, 2 times. But only one person continued to stand with the same smile, a smile that was now beginning to crack. In a short post-show interview, Jin was asked about his feelings after completing his military service. And the answer left many fans speechless. "I'm glad to be back, although still a little confused by the rhythm." That's a light sentence. But the word confused resonates much deeper than words can explain. Did Jin experience culture shock after returning from the military? Or is she trying to fit back into a life of spotlight that doesn't even give her a chance to breathe? More than that, Jin also admitted that, although he was happy to meet Army, he felt his body has not fully recovered. However, he also added, "I don't want to make you wait any longer." The phrase, which initially sounded like an expression of love, is now being reread by fans with a different vibe. It may not be a form of affection. It could have been a sign of the guilt instilled by the expectation of millions of pairs of eyes. Jin isn't the only K-pop idol returning from military service. But he may well be one of the few who immediately received such a huge public burden as soon as it came out. There was no pause. There is no recovery. Straight to work. Live stage. Live fan meeting. And instantly, the world attention. Did I ask this natural? Can anyone get through this without injuries? Someone from the staff who was allegedly backstage at the Seoul event mentioned that Jin had drunk something before entering the embrace area. Many suspect it is a drug or energy supplement. But does that mean he's forcing himself? Shouldn't a body that needs such help not be forced to perform for hours in front of thousands of people? But, of course, not everyone sees this as a problem. Some members of the public actually praised Jin's professionalism. They said, "That's dedication." It was a vivid example of love towards fans. But if love is measured by how much you can endure pain, can it still be called love? But before we go any further, let's reflect again on the moment that is considered the emotional peak of the fan meeting in Seoul, June 13th, 2024. That day not only marked Jin's return from military service, but it also marked a turning point in how the army viewed the boundary between love and sacrifice. Thousands of fans attended with burning passion, carrying banners, cries, and memories of 2 years without the presence of his idol. But amid the cheers and euphoria, one thing felt awkward. Jin, although smiling, never really showed the same look in his eyes as before his enlistment. Is it just a feeling? Or an early sign of something much deeper? One of the soldiers who attended directly uploaded footage of the seconds Jin walked into the venue. The camera recorded his slow steps, his occasional staring eyes at the floor, and the trembling movements of his hands as he greeted fans in the front row. "That's not the genie we know," the fan wrote. It was like seeing someone who had just fought against time, but was forced back before he had time to breathe. Then came a moment that no one in attendance will ever forget, the hug session. Jin stood in the middle of the stage. One by one the army went upstairs, hugged him, and conveyed their longing. But there is one thing that gives goosebumps. After the 157th hug, Jin was seen closing his eyes a little longer. His hands squeezed a little on his waist. And when the next fan came up, he was heard saying quietly, "Wait a minute, I need a breath." But the stage kept going. Time keeps turning. The schedule keeps pressing. And Jin stands still. Why didn't anyone stop the show for a moment? Why was no respite prepared for the artist who had just come out of intensive military training and lived in a world of order and pressure for 2 years? Even sadder, the reaction of the fans when they realized this actually appeared after the event was over. After the video spread, after fan accounts began to discuss Jin's expression, after his words became the subject of discussion. Too late? Maybe. But from that delay comes a collective consciousness that shakes. We love him, but do we hurt him? Then came the fan meeting in New York, the city that he says never sleeps, and apparently, neither does the genie. He arrived just 2 days before the event, with a noticeably thinner body and a thinner face than usual. While appearing wearing a denim jacket and white sneakers, as in the usual admired fashion highlights, many praised the timeless genie visuals. But the camera can't lie. Behind her sunglasses and streetwear style, deep-eyed bags, paler than usual skin, and a forced smile are visible, a fan from New Jersey wrote in his blog. "I couldn't enjoy the show because from the beginning I felt something was wrong. Jin was too quiet. He's like, not here." And this is the moment where the love narrative turns into a caring narrative. ARMY is no longer just talking about comebacks, new projects, or Genie's haircut. They start talking about rest, recovery, and the courage to say no. But can Jin say no? In an industry as big as K-pop, with contracts worth billions of won, schedules drafted a year in advance, and pressure to stay relevant amid brutal global competition, the word no is often seen as a form of defiance. Especially for an idol of Jin's caliber, who is not only a member of BTS, but also a national icon, role model, and even ambassador of South Korean culture. Is it okay for a worldwide handsome like him to look fragile? Is there room to confess that he is tired? And more than that, does his agency make room for it? HYBE, who previously received praise for supporting BTS members' military service, is now in the spotlight. The public began to ask, was HYBE too quick to arrange Jin's fan meeting in pursuit of the post-draft hype? Isn't the best time to let Jin back into the entertainment world when he himself declares to be ready, not when the company feels the moment is right? Some speculated that the events in Seoul and New York had been prepared long before Jin was discharged from the military. In fact, some ARMY theorized that this schedule was not created by Jin, but by a management team that wanted to maximize public enthusiasm. This theory was reinforced by an anonymous post from a person who claimed to work on the fan meeting logistics team, stating that Jin originally wanted to postpone the New York fan meeting because he felt he was not fit, but his request was rejected because there were already sponsors and production parties involved.